Hey people, I know it's been a bit, life and stuff. Wanted to talk about something I've kind of brought up in some of my past videos. Um, is these? Yeah, these are BDSM contracts. Um, I've talked about BDSM contracts and master slave contracts in videos before. Don't really have a favorable opinion of them. But I saw this company, bdsmcontracts.org, .org. Link will be in the description below. And I kind of was like, okay, something's a little funky. This seemed like is an interesting idea. Um, I talked about in my 50 Shades of Grey review how I thought that what they use the contract in the movie, again, I'm not going to touch the book with a 50-foot pole, um, but in the movie, they used the contract as a negotiation tool. So that had kind of stuck in my head as okay, because for the longest time, every contract you would see online was horribly written. Horribly written. They were written pretty much exclusively as the slave will do this, a submissive will do this. Nothing about what the dominant does or what the master or mistress does. Exclusively, this is what this one person does. So when I was clicking through FetLife and saw the ad for this company, on there. I clicked through and I read a little bit of some of the sample materials they had on their site, and I was like, okay, looks interesting. Uh, Contacted them and told them I wanted to do this video, and it's been a while since I did that, but you know, hey. So I contacted them, and they were kind enough not only to give me copies of the master slave, the dominant submissive contracts, the digital versions, but they were nice enough to send me physical copies. Now, obviously, they sent these for me for review. I want to make that very clear. YouTube guidelines on advertising, promotion, blah, 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 whatever. Bottom line is, after I talked to them, they sent me these, and they do charge for these. Um, Prices are on their websites, but I just want to get into why I think that if you've been around for as long as I have, something like this is really not a necessity. But there is a couple things in here that are absolutely things that I always have a go to, and things like that, and that is a BDSM checklist, and they have a pretty extensive one here, pretty decent one. And it goes into multiple different sections or multiple different things. It says right up front, this is not a legal contract. Okay, very clear. This is not a legal contract. You cannot use this as a legal basis to do anything with anybody. Okay, in fact, I have stated in previous videos, specifically my earliest video on BDSM contracts, that these actually can be used against you in the court of law if you are a complete moron. But if you are legitimate and you are doing it up front, everything is, you're not being an idiot, you're not being abusive, all that. Something like this can be useful. This I like because it has certain things. First off, you got the whole table of contents and you know terms. Um, it's got uh, responsibilities for dominant, which that's just smaller section. The submissive behavior, And it's got lots of room for editing, for changing, adding your own things. This is not a paint by numbers deal. This is a, you have to literally agree to all of this stuff. You have to take your time going through. But I mean, it has submissive veto power, yes or no. That is something you have to have a discussion about. This is something that you have to get into discussions. Okay. Um, it talks about collars. Um, there's again, again, here's part of the BDSM checklist. I mean, it's pretty extensive. Um, and it's yes, heavy or soft. Okay. And this is again something that if you're doing this with somebody, I always recommend with the BDSM checklist, do it, and in 6 months and a year and 2 years, do it again. Because, and don't look at your old one. Don't look at the old list. Take that old list and put it to the side and do it fresh. The reason is really simple, because if you do that, if you go back to what you said before, you'll want to then try to to do the same thing. But if you're doing it fresh, you are going to wind up changing answers, and sometimes pretty radically. Um, I mean, it goes into things like in the section Schedule 4, talking about punishment. It has all these different kinds of punishment that you can agree to or not agree to, and both sides have to agree on it. Also has a big section for other allowable punishments. Um, there's certain things that obviously are not here that I would use, but additional rules, addition to the contracts. And the thing is, they actually give you on not anything on the website, but also can part of some of the part of it is suggestions for all of these sections. So you're not kind of doing it in the dark. You're doing it with their help. I just you know other like I said, the bonus suggestions, things like goals, collars, alcohol, tobacco, and drug use, stuff with the body, eating and sleeping, hair, health, um, you know, so on and so on. And one of the things that I think is absolutely unique about what I've seen on here is, and let me see if I can find it. Um, it actually has dates you have to re-up the agreement. Okay, it's not, yeah, renewal right here. Okay, you have to, one of the sections is you put a time on this. It makes you have to renegotiate your your relationship with your partner. It makes it so that it becomes part of who you are and what you are, that you have to be thinking about, okay, do we want to continue to do this exactly the way we're doing it, or do we want to move on and do something else? So that's going to be the question you have to figure out. Again, if this is something you're interested in, there's a link below. I'm not going to make any money off of this. If you do, I think, I mean, besides I get to keep these and use them if I want. Um, even if you don't want to use this, something like this is good too. But I think if you want something that is well thought out, well put together, has a lot of great stuff to it, has, like I said, the responsibility of dominance, responsibility of submissives, areas of control, um, you know, uh, just terms of exclusivity. That's not something you hear about. These are taking all of the things you would talk about, that you should talk about in a DS relationship, and puts it in one little simple area. Now, if this is something that you like, links below. I think it would be something I'd recommend for people who are especially newer to the life. Not much else I can say about it. So, like I said, link below. That's it for now. Be well and safe.